probably wondering where the System Shock 2 review is. Well, it was gifted to me on Steam, and unfortunately, it kept crashing and gave me an error of, well, your hardware's too advanced.
That's a problem with some older PC games. When I tried to review the original Tomb Raider, I tried the PC version on Steam because at the time, I didn't have a PlayStation 3, so I couldn't get it off the PlayStation Network. And the PC version didn't work, which resulted in me having to use the anniversary version just so I could have something to review. Sometimes that happens with older PC games trying to run on newer systems. I know there's a way to fix it, but I spent almost 2 entire days trying to get it to stop crashing. I gave up and needed to get something cheap and small in size that I could download quickly on my connection, which is DSL.
Yeah, if you live in the middle of nowhere like I do, expect to have pretty limited options. Either one company has little to no infrastructure built out, or the other company has a complete and total monopoly over everything, and they charge outrageous prices for even the most basic of services.
So this week is going to be a review on the first Gex game for the PlayStation 1. I haven't found much development history on the game. It was released for the Panasonic 3DO in 1994, and it was received pretty well, and it even came bundled with the 3DO late in the system's life. The 3DO version got about a score of 8 out of 10, which is the highest out of all the versions, while the PlayStation 1 got about a 6 out of 10, but it's rare to find any review that's below a 6. They got comedian Dana Gould to voice Gex. At the time of the game's release, I had no idea who he was. It wasn't until last week when I saw his stand-up special on Netflix. He's worked on The Simpsons and appeared on an episode of Family Guy, though.
He was advertised on the back of the box too, and to this day reviews written about this game still don't really know who he is, but I've seen him and he is kind of funny.
For a game made in 1994, the graphics are pretty good. In fact, Gex's sprite is pretty advanced for the time. Judging by screenshots, the 3DO sprites are better than the ones in Donkey Kong Country. But the PlayStation 1 graphics are kinda watered down, but still look a little better than Donkey Kong Country. But again, I'm only basing this on screenshots of the 3DO version, so take that with a grain of salt. The music is done pretty well and matches the level themes. Gex also makes a lot of quips. Some are relevant to the situation at hand, some are random, but work anyway, and after a while, it does get annoying because at one point, you've heard them all. They're corny jokes, but they're good corny jokes.
The most common joke is that Soylent Green is good, and if you haven't seen the 1973 movie of the same name, you might not get it. Yeah, the jokes were dated back in 1994, and they're only going to get more dated as time goes on.
The goal is to travel the levels, find a TV remote, and get to the exit. The TV remotes require almost no exploration to find and are usually found on the way to the goal. Although you can explore and find things like 1-ups, which this game just throws at you at every possible chance it gets. When I played this game back when it was released, it was the first game that I played that allowed you to actually destroy things like 1-ups and power-ups. It's a neat little innovation, punishing the player for making a mistake. You can climb walls and ceilings because, well, you're a gecko. You can do that. You have a tail attack and a tongue lash to eat power-ups and fire them once acquired, but you'll lose them if you take a hit. The collision detection seems to be a little off at times. I've killed an enemy but taken damage at the same time, although when this happened, it was quite rare.
It's an early PlayStation 2D platformer. It's made well, and there's really nothing more I can say about it.
The story is pretty basic. Gex is a gecko that's a TV addict and pulled into the TV by Rez, the ruler of the media dimension, so he can make Gex the new mascot. It's basic, but like I said in my Crash series review, you don't need a complex story for a platform game. There's really only 2 things that I noticed. The physics were a little off when it came to jumping, and the camera tries to keep Gex on one side of the screen instead of centered in it. It's only slightly annoying if you're on the right side of the screen and go to turn and face right and the camera lags behind. And it's a pretty easy game that you can beat in a few hours. The PlayStation version uses a password system, but the original 3DO version is able to save to the system's memory, which I find a little odd. The PlayStation did have memory cards after all. In terms of age, it's like the active grandpa. He's out running every day in the early morning when it's like 7 degrees in January, or he's mountain climbing the Grand Canyon in July. Yeah, he's old and really shows his age, but he's still in really good health. That's what this game is.
I don't see anything inherently wrong with it, and I would say that I had a decent time with it, but I don't really see it as a generation-defining game.